we are going to start with a question, right? I think all of you might have answered this at various levels of your program, but just say what is designed to you right now. So because you have started, all of you have started, and you have been in this course, um, you know, already you are already in the course, right? So what is design to you? Anybody, some
Delivering
random
a
answer.
message using visuals.
Delivering a message using visuals, okay?
Ease, like easy on eyes and the ease of functioning.
So this is a
Uh,
graphic design, yeah, but according to the general design, it's like solving a problem, the
okay.
process of solving a problem.
The process of solving a problem. Okay. Anything, any other definitions? Yeah, I didn't say design. I didn't say what design it is. Right? So what is design to you?
Something which is appeasing to eyes and also makes our daily functioning more easy.
Okay. Okay. So appealing and functional, right?
Solving
Okay.
problems.
Solving problems. Okay.
Visual storytelling.
Visual storytelling. Okay.
Something that defines structure.
Something that defines structure. I'm not able to. What do you mean? Can you expand that?
Basically, we say design has to be functional in a way. Of course, aesthetically pleasing is also one consideration.
Okay.
So design has to have some sort of function. So now
Okay.
we are defining a form of structure into that function, and this is, of course, with the aesthetic effect into it. So
Okay.
basically, just a random thought that popped into mind because design has to be
Defining a
some structure.
structure, right? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. 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 Good. What else? Any other thoughts?
Generating idea and concepts, sir.
Generating idea and concept. That doesn't define design, right?
Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay. Uh,
So something which helps in uses of shapes, pictures, type, and
okay. So you're talking about visual design right now. Okay. Graphic
yeah,
design.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Yes. Anything else?
So putting things together that makes sense.
Putting things together that makes sense. Okay. Okay. I'm not asking what is the definition of it, right? What is the accurate definition of design? If that was my question, uh, a lot of your answers would have made sense. But what is it to you? See, this factor, right? To you, that is what matters here, right? What is design to you? If the question was just what is design, what you said is correct, right? But there is this aspect of it to the question, right? That makes the answer a lot different, right? So what does it mean to you? What is design to you? You just said a lot of definitions, which is all correct. I mean, definitions, all the things that you said is actually correct. You are defining design. So this, based on this is the definition of design that I have to explain. But for you, what is design?
Medium to express your thoughts.
Okay. So you are seeing design as a medium to express your thoughts. Okay. Is
So,
that correct? Is it?
Yes, sir.
Are you sure? Because I'm just saying, right? I'm not. Your way that you put it is actually correct. You're actually seeing it as a medium to express your thoughts. But will you be always expressing your thoughts with a design?
Not always.
Uh, so whose thought are you going to be visualizing?
If I'm working for others, then clients.
Okay. Is there a designer out there in the world who works for himself or herself?
No,
I'm
but
not sure. I'm just asking. Right?
sometimes
So,
we design for ourselves. So,
yeah, but then is that the main thing that you will be using design for?
no.
Is that so? Then why are you answering that, right? So how do you see design? Like that is you are actually you said that you're seeing that as a medium to express your thought. Is that your goal with is that the reason you're learning design, right? If you're saying that yes, I have a lot of thoughts in my mind and I want to reach it to a lot of people, right? I want to make it public. I want to make all those thoughts reach a lot of people, and I am actually learning design to share my thoughts to a lot of people, right? If that was your goal, what you said actually makes sense. Okay.
Yes.
Now, It's not that, right? It is, see, again, when you look at this question, right, it might actually seem very simple, right? But it's not that way. Like, for you now, can you rephrase that answer? Like, what would you say right now?
So something that you create according to the opponent person's thoughts and then you implement into a design.
No, my question still stands, right? What does it mean to you, right? I'm still not asking for a definition.
No, this is what I mean, like
Okay.
according to
So
myself.
not
Like
according
something,
to you, right? What is design to you? How, why, or let's say, why are you learning design? Don't say to get a job. Other than that, you can say pretty much anything, right?
Like,
to create something which other people can't.
To create something that other people cannot. Okay, okay, all right, good. That's an interesting take, right? So you want to make something that others or normal people cannot do, right? That is a very interesting vision or a goal. Really good. Anything else?
So
Anybody?
as I shared, it is to enhance the experience of life. Because when you see design, like the way I arrange my work table or
Hmm.
my kitchen cabinet or
Okay.
or everything, and
Yeah.
even this
So
course,
you have to improve your life, right?
yeah. So even
Yes.
doing
Good.
this course, if we like we were studying UX yesterday, the whole process is towards enhancing the experience
Yes.
of life,
Yes.
different people and for us also.
Okay. Cool. So you're actually doing this, or design actually means life improvement to you, right? Good. Good point. Good point. Anything else? Anybody else have a different idea?
So for me, design is like it makes things easier to understand. Is like in one look, the whole
Okay.
concept.
So you want to make things easier for others, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good, good. Anything else?
why I'm learning design is like, improve. It's a platform that will help you easily, enhance your creativity, like artistic, like the way you to express your, like solve people's problem
Okay, you would like to solve other people's problems, right? Cool.
using
That's
creativity. That
okay.
something.
Yeah. That is design. Yes. That also makes sense, right? Cool. So now, since we don't have the whole day, I'm just going to stop the Q&A here, right? So I got some idea. Like, also, why? See, this is relevant. This particular slide was relevant is because there are two things. Like, I want you to understand how you should be looking at design, or what exactly is design, right? So the final point is to actually improve upon something, right? You are actually solving problems here. That is the whole intention of design, right? um, so now that you got an idea about the goal, right, of why we are learning design, I think I haven't asked everybody, but I'm just guessing that you got what kind of answers were I looking for, right?
Yes, sir.
So you got an idea, okay, this is why I'm learning design, right? This is why I'm here. This is what I'm doing. So now the whole idea, you have a goal right now. If you do, I'm not sure that the new students will be able to actually relate to it, but if we have learned customer journey map, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, some of you. So in that, we were actually talking about how your customer journey map or your ideation can get much better when you have a goal set in your mind, right? Without a goal, you're actually walking in darkness, right? Walking towards darkness. You don't know what is happening. But when you had a goal in your mind, your job became a lot easier. You were able to do customer journey maps so quickly, right?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So that's the same thing here, right? When you have that goal clear, so this is why I'm learning design, then the process of learning design becomes easy. Okay. That's why I started with this. Okay. Is that clear? Okay,
Yes, sir.
let's
Yes, sir.
jump into the next thing. And I will say these things again. Before we start, I just wanted to say that, so this was the part where we had an interaction, right? Now for the upcoming slides, we will not be interacting much, okay? I just want you to pay a lot of attention to whatever is happening on this and whatever I'm saying, right? So be ready with your notebooks, take notes, right? That is something that I have to insist. Don't say that you're taking notes, but do take notes. It is going to help you a lot, okay? And then if you have questions or doubts, you just mark it down, and then you can ask me that when the time comes, okay? Right. So I'm going to start with a very strong statement here, right? Your approach is wrong. I am not saying what approach, what are you doing and all that, but this is, and I'm not saying that everybody falls into this category, right? But there are a lot of wrong things, wrong practices that I have observed in students, right? That when you're approaching design, when you're taking the learning process, when you're looking at problem solving, um, when you're sitting and listening to a class, there are a lot of wrong practice. Or you might believe that okay, this is okay, this is enough, but that's not right. So I'm just going to take you through a couple of ground rules before we get into this, right? Now, the prerequisites to be a designer, I think all of you are aware of it. You need to be an expert in art and illustration. You need to have the skill to draw, illustrate, sketching and all that. You need to know it. You should have a good understanding of photography, and you should have a MacBook Pro, right, to become a designer, right? No. So I was just lying. You don't need any of that, right? You just need common sense, the ability to communicate, and some passion, right? I think I have told you this before, right? I just need to have some common sense to understand uh, general awareness, right? Global awareness, all of those things. You need to have an ability to communicate. I'm not even saying that you need to, that needs to be language based, but you need to have an ability to communicate, and you need to be passionate towards why you are doing this. Now, see, before you're preparing to learn design, right? So let's say you're joining this program, right? Or you have made your mind up, okay, I'm going to study design and I'm going to choose design as my career. So where will you start, right? What are the things that you should actually know? So the first thing, right, you should know what is graphic design, right? Or you're studying UI UX design, you should understand what it is. I'm not saying that the entire process of graphic design, but what is it? What do you mean by graphic design, right? There are so many resources out there where you can get this information from. If you just Google it, you're going to get a definition. If you just ask ChatGPT, you will get a definition of what is graphic design. You need to understand that. Why I'm actually saying this is that I have met a lot of students who doesn't know what is graphic design or what it actually solves, right? Why are you going to do it? That also, they're not aware of it. Why are you choosing design as your career? Is it because you think that there is a lot of scope out there? Is it because you think that, okay, I am capable of doing design, so I should be in this field, right? What is that motivated you to choose this? Why do you think that you are ready to get into design, right? Who? Now, this question is basically you're trying to look up people who are already in design, right? So who are the designers out there? What are they doing right now? So just Google like 5 top designers in the world, right? Look at their work and what is that they do? What is their job basically? What are they producing, right? Um, are they just sitting there and making drawings? Are they sitting there mixing colors, or are they making something, with an app? You need to understand what are they doing. So the easiest way is that you look up a couple of designers and then look at their work, right? Follow them in Instagram or look at their website, and you will understand that who are the people who are there in design. I hope you remember the question that I have asked, that who are your favorite designers, and you were not able to answer it, right? Um, this is something that you have to do before joining the program, right? Now it's not late. I'm not saying that this is late. If it was late, I wouldn't be wasting the time going through all of this. Now, how? Right. So the how question is basically what you're saying is that how are these designers doing it? Right. What are the things that they have to learn to become a designer? Right. So you're going to look at what are the things that a graphic designer should know. So they're going to talk about typography. You should know design principles. They should know this. They should know visual hierarchy. They should know storytelling. You will hear all of that. Make a note of all of this. How will that help you? When you're going to a college and when you're looking at their curriculum, you'll understand that, okay, whatever that a graphic designer does, this college or this curriculum is covering all of that. So this is the ideal course for me, right? So this is why all of this is important, right? This is how you prepare to learn design, right? I'm not talking about after joining the course and towards the end of your program, you have this realization, it's not going to work, right? You are understanding all of this before you prepare and you make yourself ready to study design. What, why, who, and how. Now, once you're in your college, right? Let's say that you understood all that, you answered all those questions, or you are in your course, right? You are ready to study. You have resources, you have your faculty, you have directions right now, right? You paid your fee, so you made an investment. You invested your time and your money in this program, and you're ready to learn, right? The first thing that you need to understand is that how should I learn, right? This is not just about learning design, right? This is something that you can apply to pretty much anything, whatever you are learning, right? This is the only way to learn it right. Okay, if you miss one step of this, you will be learning, your learning process is incomplete, and it's never going to give you any productive results in this, right? So it always starts with the collect phase, where you are basically collecting information, right? As much as information as possible from as many sources as possible, right? So one example is note taking, right? This is just, I'm just putting one example of this here. Note taking, to make it very easy to understand, note taking is a process which comes in collection, right? You're listening to me right now, and if you're taking notes, you are actually doing collection, right? You're just taking all the things that this guy is saying, right? You're noting it all down, the keywords or whatever it is, you're taking it down. You might, after the session, you might actually go to a blog and read some more about it, and you're taking notes from that, right? That's also something which comes in collection. Then you're going to YouTube and watching a video about a designer talking about this process. You're again getting keywords from it, you're collecting it, you're putting it into a note. This is where you are hunting for information, right? You're going there and you're hunting everything, right? You're bringing everything, dead animals everywhere, right? So you got that. Now you're going into your process phase where you are going to cook these data, right? So you cannot actually take it and apply it directly without processing. So it needs to go through processing. So you have all this data, you have all this information from different sources, and you don't know that how it's all connected together or how it is all saying the same thing, because there'll be missing gaps, right? When you're going to YouTube and watching a video, you might be watching maybe the 15th video that the creator made. He would have said a lot of things before that, but we might not know it. And when you're reading an essay written by a designer, you would have written millions of essays before that. And he might be thinking that, okay, I've already covered this in my previous essay, so I don't have to repeat it. And he's writing a new article. So you cannot actually expect all the information in capsule format, right? You will have to actually take and process it to connect those information together, right? So you are going to connect all the dots, the things that you have listened from the classroom, the things that you gathered from the internet, you are going to connect all of this together. This is called processing, right? And this actually needs time. This takes time, right? You've collected all, let's say, our process, right? We have 1.5 hours of theory sessions happening here. Then you're going home and you are taking, let's say, 1 hour to process whatever you have learned. 1 hour is not enough, but I'm just saying, like 1 hour, you're taking it to process it, right? You're opening the book and you're looking at all the things that I taught you in that day, and you're looking it up in the internet, and you're finding more information about it. You're taking that, you're connecting it, right? So this is how it fits in there. This is how it connects, right? And then I am saying the name of a designer. You're looking that designer up. Why did he mention this designer today while he was taking this topic, right? So when you are looking that person up, you will understand why he was connecting these two things, right? So you are making that connection. Now you have a clear idea, a clear flowchart of all the information that you can put together, right? This is the processing stage. This is the actual learning stage, right? It requires a lot of effort. It requires patience. It requires room. You need to be comfortable. You need to have energy, right? When you're really tired, you cannot actually do the processing, right? You need to be, filled properly to focus and then process all the information. And that's the most interesting part for me, right? See, collecting information is something that I have to do, like to gather the information. That's not very exciting, but still, application is also not something that excites me when I'm in the learning process. The process of learning itself, right? How I connect all these dots together, how I make my own theory out of it, how it actually aligns with my thought. That is an exciting. That's my high, right? That actually makes me learn more stuff, right? So that's something that I enjoy and do it really passionately. This process section. So if you can actually bring that discipline into your learning process, you will become amazing learners, right? I'm not saying designers, amazing learners. So you will have knowledge, right? Knowledge is a fuel for creativity, right? If you don't know anything, you will not have any idea what to create, right? If you know, the more things that you know, your creativity will be bigger. the equation. So that is the stage, right? The process stage. Then you are going to your applications. Once you have made all these connections, once you are clear that, okay, this is, um, typography, and this is how they use typography, and this is how they make those connections, right? So this is how it actually works, right? You made all those connections, and then it's that sort of push inside your body that comes and say that, okay, now that I know it, I need to sort of apply this somewhere, right? I need to make a poster, I need to do something, right? With that knowledge and the passion, you are actually working on an assignment, right? A task that I've given you, which is directly coming from that day's session, right? Which is already connected, but you made the connection yourself, you connected that to yourself, and then you are applying it. Your results are going to be much better, right? Because you know why, right? Why did I talk about layout, right? Why did I talk about negative space? You actually understood all of that, and you will be able to apply all of that in your design if you're learning it properly, right? So there is no shortcut to it, right? You cannot collect and apply directly, because that's what most of you are doing, right? um, and you don't have to answer me, right? I know that if you think about and if you ask that question honestly, this is what you're doing. You're actually trying to skip the process. You're collecting, you're listening to my classes, and directly working on tasks, right? That's why your results are right now not up to the mark, right? If you actually do this, that will fix this, right? So let's just have an interaction, right? So did you understand what I'm saying? Do you agree to what I said right now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All of you?
Yeah.
Any thoughts about this? Any thoughts? Like, are you doing it, or what is your take on this? Any difficulty in this process? Anything? Whatever comes to your mind, just say it.
So what I've learned is that whichever classes, immediately after the class, I sit to apply whatever I have learned. I remember it like forever, and I understand it better. But even if I give it a day's gap, that okay, today I have to go somewhere, I'll do it tomorrow. That
Yes.
gap, it takes away the efficacy of the learning. So
True.
so you pointed out for me that yes, I'm understanding and everything, but application is where I'm lacking because I'm not taking that time to sit with whatever I've learned and process it and then apply. So that is a very valid point. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, any of this can be missing, right? So you might be, so as Mehak was saying, right? She is collecting, she is processing, but she is not applying it, right? And I have met students, and I know a lot of students who just collect and try to apply it, which doesn't work out, right?
And sometimes you don't collect the entire data sometimes. So this is why the process.
Yes, exactly. The processing will not work, right? You might have, might be depending only on one source to learn, right? That is also not the right way, right? Because see, think about it. Design is so vast that if I spend my entire lifetime to teach one person design, it is not enough, right? So you cannot actually believe that in 1 year, one person will be able to teach you design with 1.5 hours a day, right? It is impossible. It's not possible. I can give you directions, right? That's what you have to understand. That something that any teacher would be doing or any mentor will be doing is that to give you directions, to inspire you, to guide you with, like if from that person's experiences, knowledge, and things like that, right? There is a lot of effort that needs to come from you, right? Why I have to do this, right? Why I'm forced to say this or show this slide is that um, our education system from schooling, right, is based on this concept of spoon feeding information, right? Uh, they will pack everything and they will actually push it down your throat, and you know you just have to swallow it, right? That's what people do, and that's what people are used to, right? We are believing that, okay, I'm just taking this program and then everything needs to be fed into me. If we are putting it into my mouth, if I have the time, I will swallow it, right? But don't see anything like that. Don't take anything lightly like that. Like, the education of the government is taking it too lightly, but let's not take that lightly, right? Um, we will actually go beyond that, right? We have to, because this is our future, right? Whatever you do right now is going to define your future, your career, your life, your lifestyle, all of that, how your quality of life, everything is going to be defined by what you are doing right now. So I would really recommend that all of you, right? You take this very seriously. all of these things that I told you, this is the most important thing that you need to do, right? Regarding learning. Okay. I hope this is clear for all of you,
Yes, sir.
right? And all of you understand and agree to it, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So now the thing is this, like, there might be difficulties, right? When you're, it's not easy, as I say. I mean, uh, you might think that, okay, this guy can say all these stuff, but it is not coming to me. It is not easy for me to actually do this, right? I can understand that it's not easy. Nothing in life is easy. If there is if something is too easy, everyone would be doing that, right? So there will be difficulties. That is the time where you have to actually get help, right? So let's say if you're not understanding something, or if you don't know the resources to actually collect your data, right? You should actually ask others, right? You should use your network. You should ask your mentor. You should continuously question, like, what am I doing wrong? When you're if you're not able to study, right, what is the process of, I don't know how to connect these, I don't know what are the tools of learning, I don't know how to note take, you need to actually ask help, your mentor again, like, how do you learn? Because nobody taught us how to learn, right? You know this, right? When we started schooling, we started with kindergarten, and then we went to first standard, and the first thing that I remember, that we had to study multiplication tables, right? I think all of us did that, right? In
Yeah.
standard one. Yeah.
Yes,
So
sir.
all that time it was like all play and all that, and I remember going to the first standard class, the first thing that they taught us was multiplication table, like, tell us a multiplication table of one, and then I don't know how, and then they were saying that, look at this, memorize it and repeat it, right? So I did the same thing. I memorized the multiplication tables up to 10, I guess, right? We had to, in first standard, we had to remember up to 10, or I forgot. Yeah. So what is the whole point of that? I didn't understand. Right? Why are we memorizing the multiplication table? Right? How do we memorize it? What is the actual process of learning? Right? How should we take notes? All these notes, how should we take it home and study it? Right? And how do you approach a homework? How do we do it? Have any one of you had any of those classes in your school? Anybody?
No, sir.
No. Right?
Yes.
No. So that is something which is wrong, right? That's not, I would say that it's not your fault. You don't know how to learn something, right? But you need to realize that, okay, that's a problem. I can't learn, right? I'm not able to. I can actually memorize things, but I cannot understand certain things. You need to get help, right? In application, right? You're not able to, you are collecting, you're processing, but you're not able to apply something, right? You are not understanding a certain tool. You're not understanding how this fits together, or whatever it is, right? You should take help again. At all the stages, you might have challenges. It is not easy, but you have to take that initiative. You have to ask for help. I hope this is clear, right? For everybody now.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. So what you actually need, right, in class is, again, something that I want to remind. You have to be an active learner, right? So you have to be very attentive, right? As I told you, attention is something. And see, there is this phasing out thing which happens, right? Our attention span is very less. So if that's something that people are talking about something and you're not interested in it, you will phase out and you will think about something, right? And it's very hard for you to come back. Or if you feel that, okay, this is too much, so I should actually phase out and then come back when it is easy for me to understand, then also you will phase out. You need to actually practice the art of being attentive, right? See, we all do. I do that when something which actually bores me, I will phase out, right? And I will come back when, in conversation, in telephonic conversation and all that, I am not interested, so I'll not be paying any attention. Most of my design works that I do in phone will be happening during a phone call, right? Because they will be talking, I'll be saying, yes, yes, and I'll be designing something and I'll be posting on Instagram, right? And that is how I developed the habit of designing everything in my phone, right? So because I can listen to the conversation and I can design, right? So I do that. I am also, but the thing is that I'm not interested in that conversation. That is the reason I'm phasing out. Can you say that you are not interested in design? That is the reason you're not being attentive.
No.
No, you cannot, because you actually came here, right? I'm not coming to you and I'm not, preaching you about design at your doorstep. You are coming to a college, you're investing your time and money, and you are paying me to actually teach you, right? Think about that. So in that case, it is your responsibility to be attentive, right? You need to get as much information as possible. So you need to do that. You have to have that interest in design, and you're doing it. Okay. So that's attention. Engagement, right? Engagement with the content, right? So when I am actually showing these slides, right, you need to always relate your situation with whatever is happening on this, right? So when we're talking about the previous slide, right, did you actually connect it to yourself,
Yes.
all of you?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Right. So that is engagement, right? You are engaging yourself into that content and you are relating this to yourself. That is called engagement, right? You need to actually have that. The last thing is conversations, right? See, the senior students might know this, right? The kind of ideas that you can generate in a conversation, right? It will never come when you're thinking alone, right? We had experiences like that, right? In our classes, when we
Yes,
were
sir.
brainstorming together, right? The amount of ideas, the amount of solutions that we are getting, right? The kind of perspectives that you're getting, like you might be looking at one problem from one angle, and then some person is coming here and then they are sharing their opinion, right? The kind of engagement or the kind of attention and the kind of knowledge that you are getting, right? This is from these conversations, right? So it's all important in learning anything, but we are talking about design. So I would say that this is critically important in learning design, right? You can learn a lot more things when you're having a conversation, right? So if it's two-way, right, when we are discussing something and finding out, no, it might actually start from a disagreement, right? I don't like this. And another person will say that I like this. Then you're having a conversation. Then you're listing out all the things that you like and don't like about it. You weigh it, and then you realize one person might actually realize that, okay, it actually makes sense. It is actually good. Or the other person will realize that, okay, I have been looking at it wrong. So this is a wrong solution, right? So this is the power of conversations. You can learn a lot from it. You have to engage yourself into that. Okay. Now, yeah, here is an interesting thing, right? Attention, right? When we are going through it, I showed you, and if you have seen this, my slides are very minimal here, right?
Yes.
Almost all the slides are very
Yes,
minimal.
sir.
And I'm not sure. I just want to, and I don't want answers, right? I just want to find out like how many of you noticed it, right? So process of learning design, preparing to learn design, prerequisite to be a designer. I intentionally changed it to destiny. Did you notice this?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
one
sir.
person.
Yeah. But I
Okay.
was taking notes.
Yeah. So it is a lot of you might not have noticed it, right? Because it was actually going in a flow, like prerequisite to be a designer, and then I actually checked it like this. So that change is something that you might not notice because you are looking at this, or you're distracted by that, or you might not have even looked at the slide, right? So this is where it matters, right? Any tiny detail, anything is actually critical, right? Whatever comes in your way, pay attention to it. Okay. If it doesn't deserve your attention, you can actually, deny it. But go with this attitude, right? I have to be attentive, I have to engage, and I have to converse. Okay. I hope this is clear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So now focus on what is important to learn. When you are here in this college, right? When you have paid this money and when you know about what is design and everything, right? Like we learned about the prerequisites, right? And then when you're coming here, what is the priority what is that you have to learn? What do you think that is the most important thing to learn in here, in this college or from this course?
How much information I've gained from one professor.
The
Okay.
process
No,
of
see, before coming in, what is the most important thing that you should learn, right? About design.
That
What
we're
is the
learning
ask?
something new every day.
No, I'm saying out of all the curriculum things in there, right? What is the most important thing that you wanted to learn?
The
the
fundamentals.
process.
Okay. Anything else?
Sir, how to
Design as a
self-study?
concept.
Okay.
Design as a concept.
Designer concepts. Okay. Has anyone prioritized the tool as the most important thing to learn?
Just before entering the course, it was yes, but later
Yeah.
I got to know
No,
that.
see, that's what I'm saying. Like, after joining the course. So before joining the course, it's okay, right? You might have believed, or you might have thought that learning a tool will make you a designer, right? Learning Photoshop might actually make you a designer. Learning Illustrator will make you a designer. Learning InDesign or learning everything about that tool is going to make you a designer. And that's the only thing that you have to learn. See, that norm, that particular belief, I think it actually came from a lot of these mushroom institutes, which actually started popping up all around the world. In most importantly in India after the 90s, right? There was these institutions who had Photoshop, Illustrator, and all that, and then they started giving certificates, and the certificates were called, diploma in graphic design, diploma in or certificate in graphic design. But what they actually did there was they trained these people on Photoshop and Illustrator, right? There was no fundamental. There was nothing about typography, color, shapes, or whatever visual storytelling and all that. They actually trained these people on the software. And there was a generation which actually knew only these tools, and they were going into industry and they were working as graphic designers. I already told you, right, how that actually ruined an entire industry, right? How those people who knew the tools ruined an entire industry. And the problem that is happening right now is that the industry has evolved. They are looking at globally powerful designs and all that, and they realize that tool is something that doesn't matter at all. It is your design knowledge. It is how you can solve a problem with visuals is what matters, right? No matter what tool you are using to solve it, but what is the solution? What is the quality of the solution is something which is very, very important, right? The industry is realizing it, and they are looking for people who know design right now. They don't need software experts, right? So all those people are out of jobs. They don't know what to do with those, Photoshop and Illustrator knowledge that they have, right? So you have to focus on what's more important to learn, and you will eventually, it might take you time, right? I wouldn't say that now after this presentation you will understand that, and okay, now I got clarity and all that. It's not going to happen. It will take its own time, and depending on where you're from, where I'm saying that what is your beliefs, it might actually take longer or shorter to get that realization. But you need to, when you have that, you need to focus on what's more important to learn in this course, or from this particular person. What is that I should focus on, right? What is this person good at? So what should I actually get from him, right? Is what your focus should be. Okay. No matter who you go to, like whatever mentor or source that you go to, what is the most important thing that, or most important quality of this person that I need to adapt, right? And then you focus on that. You have to learn from multiple sources, right? There is no shame in doing this, right? You can learn from YouTube, you can learn from an article, you can learn from a Medium, you can learn from talking to your friend. There is a lot of ways to learn. I told you, so that one person was asking me, I think, what do you recommend in how do we approach this? I forgot the question, I'm sorry, but the answer that I gave was you study everything other than design. Who was it? Who asked? Was it Mehak?
This was in our class, sir.
Yeah. So I said that when you actually study everything, forget about design. You study everything else in your life, right?
Yeah, like
Then you will,
movies and things like that.
Exactly. When you study everything, when you understand everything else apart from design, right? Everything else, you will know design by default, right? So when you're looking at, when you're reading a book, when you're actually looking at the traffic, and when you're looking at, when you're watching a movie, when you're listening to music, when you're talking to people and how they interact, right? Or when you're looking at maybe, I'm just saying, when you're looking at, an answer sheet, right? That students gave me right now. But you are able to study design from everything else. There is no, I wouldn't recommend one book that covers everything about design, right? I would always say that you read something else. You watch this movie, right? Recently, like I asked Mohit, right, to watch an episode of The Bear. It's a TV show, and I asked him just to watch one episode of it, right? It has nothing to do with design. It has nothing to do with I didn't ask him to actually understand anything about filmmaking. Also, the intention was completely different, right? By the way, did you watch it, Mohit? Oh, yeah, okay. So that the intention was completely different, but I knew that there is something that we can take from there and apply it into design, right? So that's how we actually look at design, because design is not an industry, right? There is no industry called design industry or UI UX industry, right? There is food industry, there is fashion industry, there is healthcare industry, there is traffic, there is all these other industries in the world. and everything needs design to survive, right? So when you try to understand all the other things around you, you will automatically know what design is. Okay, so start looking outside, right? Rather than doing introspections, looking outside, try to understand what is going on, right? What is happening around you. Then you will understand design better. Okay, so you have to learn from multiple sources. There is no harm in that. Now, one other thing, right? You have to do is trust, listen, respond, question, right? So why is this important? Why is trust important? I'll tell you this. When you are listening to me, right? I think people who have spent a little time with me, like there are very new students in here who might not completely trust me, but there are students in this class who trust me, right? Because they know me, they have made that connection, and they know that, okay, this person wouldn't harm me, right? He will not give harmful information to me, right? So nobody said right. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So,
Some of
all
them
right.
might say,
I was like stuck for a moment. Okay, did I? All right. So you have that trust. I'm just saying, like you, maybe because of the way that I slowly introduced into problems and I helped you with it, you would have developed that trust over a period of time. Maybe in the first classes and second class and all that, you will not actually feel that connection because you don't know me, right? You don't know anything about me, and we're seeing that person for the first time, right? So, okay, I just want to know who is the one who is trying to join right now. Okay, no, that's not. Okay, so you have to trust somebody when you're trying to take information. It doesn't have to be a person, right? If you're trying to read a blog, right, you need to actually trust that blog to take the information. If you have to watching a YouTube video, right, if that person cannot build that trust, you will not listen to whatever that person is saying, right? You will not, even if it is right. If you cannot build that trust, it will not work. And see, one of the major problems with our generation is that when I'm saying our generation, I know that we have that gap in between us, but I'm considering all of us into one generation, right? So let's say when in our generation, when we reach a certain age, right, let's say 20 years of age, by that time, our trust system is already broken, right? We go through a lot of experience and we are very scared to trust somebody, right? Have you felt like that?
Yeah.
Very, because we would have a lot of like bad experiences and then we will not trust anybody at that time, right? It is already damaged. So it will take some time for you to trust somebody. And it's a very difficult task for me to make you guys trust me. For that, you have to listen, right? You have to at least try and listen to what this person is saying, respond to that person, right? So when they are asking questions or when they are saying something, you just respond. Like I've seen a lot of people who are like dead completely, right? Inside and outside. You're not doing anything, right? You're just sitting there and so you're just not responding at all, right? You don't say yes, you don't say right, you don't say okay, nothing, no response, right? So it's very difficult. There no facial expressions also, right? So it is very difficult again for people, I know that these people are not right, so I will not be able to share this information because if I share this information right now, since they are not trusting me, they will not take it. Right? You have to respond. You have to question. You have to continuously ask questions. Right? Saying that there are a couple of students who ask me questions, but there are a lot of you who are too scared to ask questions, thinking that okay, whatever I'm asking, is it wrong? Is it the right thing to say at this point? Right? Don't worry about that. Just keep. If you trust the person, you shouldn't have to be worried about the questions that you're asking, right? So I hope this is clear, right? I will share this slide with you. You will have time to deliberate and think about it. Now, one very, very, very important thing, right? I want to actually explain here is how to approach a dog. Okay. No, I mentioned here tool and I have a dog, but I will say how to approach a dog, right? How do you approach a dog? Like, let's say you're seeing a dog, you want to pet that dog, right? You are very interested to go there, but you're too scared because you're worried that if you go and touch the dog, he might actually bite you, right?
Yes.
It's not that you hate the dog, but you are sort of afraid that the dog might actually attack you back, right? Now think about a tool, right? Are you afraid in the same way about a tool? Is the fear the same?
No.
No, because
No, sir.
the tool is not going to do anything back to you, right?
Yeah, and tool cannot even sense our fear. Dog will sense our fear and then it'll bite us.
Exactly. The tool cannot sense your fear, right? And the tool will not do anything. You can go and do whatever you want, right? So then I don't understand why people are too scared about tools, right? Too overwhelmed about tools, right? Let's say we are hearing about Photoshop, Illustrator, and all these things, and we are actually scared about it. Like I've seen people like literally scared about, I don't know, oh my God, I don't know how to actually do this. Do you think that you have to waste so much energy and emotion on a tool? Right? It is just a tool. Do we actually worry about a pen too much?
No.
Like you take a pen and you look at it and you are like overwhelmed. Oh, I don't know. So look at the nib and all those things. I don't know how to process this. How the ink is actually dripping from it. It is too much for my head to take. We don't say things like that, right? See,
No.
it is very. It's a wrong approach. I'm not saying people are not overwhelmed by tools, but you don't have to be. You're approaching a tool in the wrong way, right? So, for example, let's say you don't know anything about Photoshop, right? Just imagine that, right? You are going to Photoshop, you are opening it like this, right? It actually seems like this, right? So this is the first screen that you're seeing, right? If I had a person who had no experience in Photoshop, I would have showed this experiment with that person, right? But let's say you're going through it. What is the first, if you want to do something with the tool, right? What would you generally click if you don't know anything about Photoshop? What is the thing which is highlighted in here?
New file.
New file, right? So if you click this and if it is a wrong button, will the plane crash?
No.
No, right? So you can click here, right? Nothing is going to happen. Just see, is it safe, right? So I'm going to click on the new file. Okay, this popped up, right? So you're worried right now. You don't know what to do. There are so many buttons and things like that, right? So just take a long breath and then just take a look at it again, right? So it is actually showing sizes of the new file, right? And on the right side, you can see what is that, right? It is saying width, height, resolution, RGB. You don't understand any of this. It's completely okay. But width, you will understand it, right? So I don't know what these pixels are. So click on it. Okay, I'll understand inches, right? So let's take a look at that because all of you know inches, right?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
You might have heard it,
Yes,
or
sir.
maybe centimeters, right? You know it. Let's look at that. So you will get an idea. Okay, it is now saying that, okay, this is 20 centimeters and 25 is the height of it. And the resolution is 300. I still have absolutely no idea resolution is. So it is saying pixels per inch. Okay, pixels per centimeter, right? So it is saying that this, okay, RGB color, still, you don't know anything about it. You know it because you learn the concepts, right? So you should know it. But I'm saying that you don't know anything about design at all, right? You're coming here, background content is white, and then you're looking at it and you can see two buttons here, right? To create a document, which one will you click?
Create.
Okay. So let's create. Okay, it created a document. So at least you know that you have something here, right? Again, the same thought, right? You're going here and you're going to these tools, and I don't know what to do with it. I don't know how to make a shape and all that. We are worried. We are again worried about the tool, right? So much. So you're going here and you're seeing a lot of tools. You don't know what it does. It says that it is cropping the tool and it is showing a video of what it does. Still, you're not sure about why we are cropping and all that. Just go into all these tools and just saying that, okay, it eye drops, okay, samples image, okay, you have a brush tool. So let's click on that and you're brushing. Okay, the brush is coming all blurry. You don't know why, right? You're worried about it. Then you're looking on the top. You're looking everywhere and you're seeing that, okay, this is there, right? You can see this. You can see this. You're clicking on it and then you're realizing that, okay, it's on soft round. Maybe it is coming all blurry because it is soft round. What if it is hard round? You're clicking on it and you're brushing it and you know that it's there. So it's too big right now, you're realizing. And then you are looking around and see that there's only thing which has some value here. You're clicking on it and can see the size. You reduce it, you start brushing with that, right? So did anything happen? Did any damage happen here?
No.
Did it ruin your computer? Did it ruin your sanity? Nothing, right? So see, this is what I'm saying, right? People are afraid of tools for no reason, no apparent reason, right? We are afraid of things. We are afraid of trying out things, which see, if it's a medicine, I would say, like, you're actually, somebody gave you a medicine and you're too afraid to try it out because it is going to affect your health. There is directly going to be a damage. But what damage can this cause, right? There is nothing there that you just go and try, you just explore it, right? That's it. It's as simple as that, right? This is what a tool is. The tool is something that will only respond if you are doing something. It will not control you. It will not take over your world, right? It is just this. Okay. So let's close this. Okay. When I clicked on this button, it says save, don't save. If you want to save it. If you don't want to do it, don't save. Okay. So does that make sense? Whatever I just showed you right now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right? That's it. Any tool, right? Think about any tool that you want to study, right? It could be Cinema 4D, it could be Maya, it could be anything, right? Just go in there and explore. Nothing to be afraid about. Let's see, I'll tell you one story, right? I think it was in 2000. I was in school, right? Year 2000. So I got this CD with a magazine, right? It was a CD-ROM with a magazine, and then I put it in, and I found that, that there was a demo of 3D Studio Max, right? I had absolutely no idea what 3D Studio Max is and what can it do. I just installed it because I was bored. And then I found out that it was a software where you could actually create 3D objects with it. Again, no idea. There is so many things out there in the tool, right? I don't know what to do. And I just, every day I spend some time just because of interest. I just figured out it because I clicked on it, nothing happened. I clicked on one button, something happened. And then I learned by practicing it that, you know, this is what it can do, right? And I learned that entire tool by myself, right? I knew everything about 3D Studio Max, but I had no idea about what are 3D concepts, right? How do you create a 3D rendering? How the composition should be? How do you work with lights and shadows, right? Nothing, no fundamental knowledge, but I knew the tool because tool was so easy to learn. When I started learning the 3D concept, that was hard. I had to understand a lot of things before, you know, rendering it out and all those things. So it's that simple, right? Don't take this approach while you're trying to learn a car, okay?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So this is it. Explore, practice, make mistakes, look it up, practice, make new mistakes, and repeat this. So see, let's say this, right? When you're designing something in Photoshop, right? And when you're at a certain point that you don't know how to actually make the type hollow, right? You're stuck there. You can just look up that, right? You just go to the internet and say that how to make the text hollow in Photoshop, and it'll show you right away, right?
Yeah.
And then take that and work on it. See, that is the reason when I started this program, right? I haven't had any tools mentioned in my curriculum, right? I said that students can use whatever tool that they are comfortable with. I don't care about what tool that they're using, how they are making their designs and all that stuff. But later, when a lot of students came up with this mindset, right? I met a lot of people who said that, you know, if you don't know Photoshop, you're not going to be a designer. If you don't know Corel Draw, you're not going to be a designer. If you have to learn Figma, you have to learn XD, blah 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 blah. Then I met a lot of people like that, and it's easier to include those programs in my curriculum rather than talking to those people and making them understand, right? So I did that. I actually added all these tools into the curriculum, right? But it's not important, right? Your knowledge, what you know about design, what you're going to do with that is what matters. Okay. Now, see, let's talk about in design. You know, when we are coming to the process of design here, this is all the fundamental part of it, right? You are going to learn. If people want to actually still learn Photoshop from scratch, there is going to be a session coming at 1:30. So the first thing that you have to learn in design is visual storytelling. I think we already know this term, right? All of you know this term.
Yes, sir.
We are visually telling a story, right? So rather than telling a story using words, you are telling a story using visuals, right? So let me, okay, that's a very interesting thing, right? So let's think about this word, right? Loneliness, okay? And let's do that together, right? So when we have this here, what is the image that comes to your mind? Tell me a picture that comes to your mind.
A sad person which
A sad person. Okay. Just
yeah, a sad
one answer per person, right? So a sad person. I'm just gonna add it here.
A person
Okay.
who's sitting alone.
Hmm?
A person who's sitting alone.
Person sitting alone, right? Okay, sitting alone. A sad person sitting alone. Anything else?
Maybe
Blankness of expression.
Yes. Yes.
Blankness of expressions. Blank face.
Blank face. Okay. Yeah. Next.
Facial recognition, like just a face of a person, showing that he's actually very lonely or
side.
Okay, facial recognition doesn't mean face of a person, right? That's a whole different scenario. Okay, so blank face. Okay, any other thing that which is not mentioned here that comes to your mind when you hear loneliness as a visual? I'm saying
Darkness.
darkness. Okay. Yes. See, this is what I said, right? Just a very simple thing, but how hard it is to actually make you guys talk. Just one word. What comes to your mind? Loneliness. Already that picture is in your mind. Just say it. Say one word about it. Don't think. That's not the exercise. Whatever you have in your mind, say it.
Depression.
Depression. How are you? See, the whole idea is that how you are visualizing loneliness. So, what is the visual of depression right now?
Sir, like an island. No man is an island.
Sir,
You are visualizing island, right?
Yes, sir.
Sir, isolation, sir.
No, I am asking what is the visual that comes to your mind? What is the visual imagery that comes to your mind when you hear loneliness? Is it a room? Is it a person? Is it an island? Whatever it is, just
An empty room.
empty room. Okay, empty room. Nobody is there. So then it's not loneliness. Okay, yeah, it's still fine. Still fine. Empty room. Okay.
So for me, it was a child holding a balloon.
Child holding a balloon. Okay. Okay. What other visual that came to your mind? Just say we will put everything in.
Birdcage.
Birdcage. That's loneliness. Okay. Okay. All right. Works. Yes. Okay.
So can we name any movie?
How are you visualizing a movie right now?
Gajini?
No. How are you visualizing? What is the visual that is coming to your mind?
So it's basically that person loved someone and she was murdered.
No. That is a story. I'm asking about the visual that comes to your mind. See, when we were looking at loneliness, right? Loneliness is a word. It is an emotion. And when I asked you to actually think about that as a visual, still a lot of you actually came up with ideas which are not visuals, right? Somebody said depression, somebody said isolation, and things like that. These are not visuals, right? These are concepts. Or maybe when somebody say a movie also, that is not a visual. That is not a visual that comes to your mind. So that's the reason I went into the movie and said that what is that frame that comes to your mind when you're thinking about that movie and connecting it to loneliness, right? Just a visual that comes to your mind. Now, we have all these ideas right here, right? So it actually, in your mind, when you're thinking about loneliness, this is the image that comes to your mind, right? This process, do you know what is it called? What we just did? Yes?
Formstorming.
Not brainstorming, formstorming, right? So formstorming is that we are actually thinking in visuals, right? We are forcing our mind to actually think about one frame, right? One picture or one image that comes to your mind when you're thinking about it. This is visual storytelling, right? The fundamentals of visual storytelling is just this, right? You are figuring out a picture, a photograph, right, or an imagery that conveys the message, right? That is visual storytelling. So it's as simple as that. Concept of that is as simple. Like you just have to express it as visuals. But as graphic designers, we have to express the same thing in visuals, but our visual tools are different. Right? What are our visual tools as a graphic designer?
Poster.
No.
Images, shapes, typography.
Yeah.
Typography.
Shapes, typography. What else?
Color.
Color. Yes. Yeah. So we have this, right? We are, as graphic designers, we are basically using this for visual storytelling. We have typography, we have shapes, we have colors, and we have imagery, right? And you might have seen a lot of graphic design projects so far, right? You might see a combination of this, right? You might see typography with shapes. You might see typography, shapes, and colors in certain works. You might see imagery with type. You might see imagery with shapes, right? So these are the tools that we have as graphic designers. We don't have the liberty to go and use something else which is not in our control to say a story, right? So as graphic designers, these are the tools that you have, right? And we are going to use this to tell the stories, right? So we are not talking about UX design at this stage, where UX design is visual problem solving, right? We are just going to talk about storytelling, which is graphic design. So typography, shapes, colors, and imagery, right? This is what we will just discuss on what we actually learned so far, right? I hope. Okay, cool. That's a reminder. That's my timer. I'm sorry. Did all of you go through this before this session?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Not before this season, but yeah, we saw it all, understand, and
Okay.
we know most of the thing. But
You know most of the things. Okay, cool. Anyway, so how do you move forward? Okay, what did I do? How do you navigate with this? Oh, it's down. Yeah, okay. That's pretty bad design. Okay. See, now, these are things that is already with you, right? And I hope, and I told you this also, you have to be ready with this document. So I'm not going to explain this too much, but there are certain things that you have to understand from here, right? See, we stopped at this, right? Communication is using visuals, and then these are the visuals that we have to use, right? Typography is when we work with text in a design. So everything that you are typing, right, is going to come in here. We are using colors to enhance your communication, shapes for making the message easy to understand, and we are using image to grab attention. These are the main purposes of these elements, right? And if you understand this, depending on the message that you have to convey, you will be changing the ratio, right? How much of this particular design should have an image, right? Very, very, very important, right? So you already went through it. So I'm going to take Photoshop right now, and I'm going to show all these things that we have discussed. We'll start with typography first, right? Let me go to Photoshop. Let's take a document. You don't worry. If you don't understand Photoshop fully right now, don't worry about this. There is going to be a follow-up session on Photoshop. I'm just going to talk about typography, all those 4 building blocks or the fundamentals of design using Photoshop here. Okay. Is that clear?
yes, sir.
Clear? All right. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to take the type tool here, and I'm going to type something. Let's say typography. Okay. So this is what I did with our typography, and this is the basic typography. Just whatever was default in Photoshop, it came like that, right? So the first thing that you need to understand is that the style that this text is written, what is it called?
Sans serif?
Sans serif.
No. What is it called, right? The style. What is the name? Like typeface, right? So this is called a typeface. So if you select this, right, you can see that all the typefaces that you have on your system will be right here, and you can switch through that, right? You can choose any typeface that you want in here, right? So let's say if I'm going to choose a typeface from here, say Arial Black, right? I chose that typeface. Now, what is this? What is next to that? This particular area.
Bold italic.
What is it called?
Fonts.
Font.
Family.
Right. This is called the fonts, not family. It's called fonts, right? So let's say we'll select something here. Next, right? So this is a typeface. The typeface is called Avenir Next, and these are the fonts which are available in Avenir Next. So we can actually use the same typeface and a different font of that typeface, right?
That's something totally new I didn't know about.
Yes,
Like
sir.
I thought, typeface and fonts both are the same thing.
Seriously, that was one of our first lessons.
Fast lesson, yeah. Actually, I missed the fast lesson.
Really? Okay.
Still, I'm regretting today itself.
Okay. Cool. So this is a typeface and this is a font, right? And next to that, you can see the font. What is this called?
Font size.
Yeah, layman terms, you can say font size. It is called the font weight, right? The weight of the font. Okay, so 55 points is the weight of the font right now. Okay, so typeface, font, and the weight. Okay, now when you're working with this, right? I've told you there are different rendering techniques of a text, and when you see this, right, you can see that this is smoothly rendered right now. So if I'm just going closer to the typeface, say 100%, you can see that the edges are very smooth right now, right?
Yes.
You can actually change this to sharp as well. You can see that now it is using a sharp rendering. You can make it crisp, you can make it strong, right? The edges are going to change, right? The anti-aliasing is going to change here. You don't have to worry about this too much, right? White might be, you can actually change this to smooth when you're actually working on digital interfaces. If you are planning to print this out, a better option would be crisp. Okay, got it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Cool. So now we are going to do it to change it to smooth, and we have this right now. And again, we are going to build. So we have this typeface in here, right? We have the first element of the text that is here. We need more options to actually work with this. To do that, we can go to Window and we can click on Character, right? So the Character window will give you more options to work with typefaces, okay, or typography, let's say. So let me just take a duplicate of this. Okay. Now I'm going to select this. And you can see that we already changed the typeface. We already changed the font. We changed the font weight. And you can see something here. There are so many buttons in here. Let's try and understand what this basically means. Okay. So let's go with this first. Okay. Now I am going to go here. I'm just come to this. So it says 30. I'm going to change this to 10. What happened here?
The space between all these
characters came down. Right?
Yeah.
The space between these characters came down. So if I'm changing it to, let's say, 0, it came down. Again, I can actually go down to negative values right now, right? So I'm going to say change it to minus 30 here. It's much tighter right now, right? You can alternatively change it by coming to this thumbnail and then dragging it, right? So I can do this easily. Okay. Right?
Yes, sir.
Clear?
Yes, sir.
So
Yes,
what
sir.
is this called? What is this called? What did I do right now?
Kerning.
It is not called kerning. It is called tracking. Right? This is called tracking. Whatever we did right now, it is called tracking. What is the difference between tracking and kerning?
Kerning implies on the entire sentence and the line.
So I'll tell you this. We are going to use the same tool, but so this is tracking, right? You can actually increase the space between the characters by just changing this value, and we are adjusting the tracking, right? The space between overall all the characters in here, right? So, but if you just want the space between just two characters, two individual characters, I'm going to select only T and Y, and then I'm modifying this, right? This is called, what is it called?
Kerning.
Kerning, right? So individually, if I'm taking one typeface or one character and I'm changing that, that's called kerning, right? So just to make it very clear, I'll just make it like that, okay? So this, I just adjusted only here, and that's called kerning. I hope this is clear for all of you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
This is something that we've already learned. I'm just revising that, okay? Now, let's take a duplicate of this again, or maybe we'll take it from here itself. And I'm going to break this down into 2 lines, right? Just enter it here. So now you can see that the space between the lines, right? These are in 2 lines right now, and the space is too tight. It's too close, right? The space between 2 lines, what is it called? Leading, right? And that is right here. You can see the icon, right? This is showing the characters horizontally. This is showing the characters vertically. So if I change this, the space between the lines are going to increase, right? And this is called, again, what is it? Leading, right? So I hope all of you are following me, everybody.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
This is all in the textbook, right? So you can go back there and I put it at leading. Okay. So far, I hope that is clear, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Okay. So let's take this again, I'm going to take this typography thing here again, right? So you can see that this typeface, right? It is actually sitting in a line. Can you see that if I draw a line right here, all of that is basically sitting in one line. That entire thing is sitting in one line, right? The majority of those things. Okay. What is that line called?
Baseline.
Baseline.
Baseline, right? So that's called the baseline, right? And the height of this character. So I'm going to make a top line also just for you to understand this. And I just put it on the top of where everything is ending. What is this height called? Character height. What is it called?
X height.
X height. I mean, this is all in the book, okay? X height. Now, there are two things that you can see, right? There are a couple of shapes or maybe parts of shapes which are going under the baseline, and some of them are going above the X height of the rest of the text. What are they called?
Ascender and descender.
Okay, anything which goes down, these are called descenders, and anything which goes up, it is called ascenders, right? This is not vital information, right? This is not something that you will be using every day in your conversation and all that, but I'm just saying, like, there are terms for all of this, right? All of this is carefully planned, right? The X height of a character or a typography and all that is carefully planned with that in mind, right? This is going to be my ascender, this is going to be my descender and all that. When a type designer is designing it, all of this is planned. So when we are modifying any of that, let's say when we are changing the baseline, when we are changing the, what do you say, the stretch, the scale of the text and all that, you have to keep that in mind that ideally this was not designed for it, but I am actually breaking that to make my job, easier. So for example, if you look at these two buttons here in character window, you know what will this do? So if I just bring it down, so I haven't selected this. So if I bring this down, can you see that it's squeezing this text?
Yes, sir.
Right. So now the X height of the actual typography that the type designer designed, is that following it?
No.
No. We ruined it, right? So it is not always wrong. You can actually do it. You have the freedom to do it, but make sure that you know that you're breaking a rule, right? So that's what it does. So the same thing, you can actually do this also. You are stretching the character horizontally. Okay, so this is not, the proportions are changing, right? So this is why I told you, if you remember, right, when you are working with Photoshop or any tool, make sure that this is at 100%. Okay.
Okay, sir.
See, I think somebody's mic is continuously on. That's creating a lot of noise. Can you mute every mic right now? When you're just answering, just turn it on, and then you can turn it off. Yeah, thank you. So these are the options where you stretch and bring it down and all that, and you have a lot of options here, which basically is forcing something onto a typography. You can force italics, you can make everything into capital letters, you can make everything into subscript, superscript, and all those things. You can create a strike through text. None of this is useful, right? There could be a scenario where you might be forced to use these effects, but other than that, it doesn't mean much to us. But I will tell you one more thing. So let's say if I'm selecting the Y from here, right? And you can see this, right? This is the indent, the baseline shift, right? So the baseline, this is actually a descender. The Y is a descender right now. It is actually going below that. So I can change it and I can say that, okay, I don't want the Y to go down, but I want the Y to be sitting there. Okay. So I just shifted the baseline of only the Y to match it with the rest of it. So if I want to do the same with P, I can do that. I can take maybe the other way around. I just want to take the H and bring it down. Okay. So this is what it does. Cool.
Yes, sir.
Right. So
Yes.
I hope that basic functioning of typography is clear here, right? How you work with typography.
Yes.
That's what
Yes.
I'm going to talk about here. Okay. Now we also learned about. Let me just create a new document here. There are different types of typefaces, right? How many types are there?
Three.
Three main types. There are other types as well, but three main types that we can think about, right? So I'm gonna make those three right here. Just duplicate this. one more time, right? Let's change this to, okay, let's change this one to this. Okay, so we have these three versions of the same text, right? What is the first one called for people who already know this or read the document?
Sans serif.
Sans serif.
It's called the sans serif, right?
Serif is not there.
It is there. I just typed it inside. Okay. Right. So this is a sans serif. What is the next one called?
Serif.
Serif.
And the third one?
Script.
Okay. Now, what are the things that you can notice? What is different here? This is definitely for the new students, but what is obviously different here between these three things? Any new guys like who missed these sessions? Can you just look at it and tell me what are the things which are different here in these three versions?
Sans serif is a basic font.
What do you mean by basic?
Like it has
Soft edges.
Okay.
a minute.
Okay, I wouldn't say basic font. It's a more neutral font, right? It doesn't have any characters that this is having, right? So for instance, the difference between this, right? You can actually notice that you can see there is a tail in this particular typeface. There are tails there, right? Can you see that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So is that tail there in here? No. There is one more thing that you can notice, that it has two different weights in one typeface. Right. This side seems thicker. This thing seems lighter. When you look at this, everything has a uniform weight, right? At any point you actually take a measurement, it looks the same. Right. The thickness seems the same. Here the thickness is varying, and it has this tail. Okay. That's called a serif typeface. The varying thickness, and if it has a tail, it's called serif. And sans serif is where it is sans, right? Okay. Sans serif is where it doesn't have a tail and it has equal weights, right? Now, what is that you're noticing here in the script typeface? What is different? Okay, anybody say it. It doesn't have to be a new student. Yeah. It looks like it is organic, right? Somebody wrote it, right? So it's more, sort of like decorative, and somebody just wrote it. So that is script typefaces. So there is sans serif, which is more neutral, which is, which has equal weights, no serifs, no tails, and it is very adaptable. It actually goes with any kind of mediums out there. Then there is serif, which seems slightly decorative. It has these tails. It looks more elegant. It has a classy feel to it, and there are varying weights. And then there is a script, which actually looks like somebody wrote it, right? So these are three types of typefaces that we spoke about, right?
Yes.
Clear with that. Now, when we actually were speaking about this, there are two basic concepts that we discussed about, which is type pairing, right? So when you actually bring a typeface here, right, and when you take, let's say, another typeface, right? So I'm just going to reduce the size of it, make it. So when you're working in a design, your job might be, a slightly difficult and confusing, where you'll have to work with different content, right? Different types of content. There could be, somebody would say that, okay, I need a heading in my text, and then I need the body to be there, right? So what typefaces will you choose here is the question. So if you make both of them exactly the same, it might not work. Do you see the problem here? Can you?
Yes, sir.
Right? It might not actually work. It might not look good. It might confuse them. So there is this technique called type pairing, where you can actually pair that with a different typeface to make readability better, right? So let's say if I just change the font also, that might actually work, right? See, there is a difference here. Now it is better. You know which is the heading, and you know which one actually is the body text, right? So here, all the other adjustments you can do it. So if I feel like this is slightly loose, right? The space between this, the tracking is, this much tracking is not required for it. So let's take a duplicate of this. I'm just going to drag it up here. I'm going to take this and I'm just going to bring this a little closer. Okay, I'm going to keep it right here. Now, this was the default tracking of this typeface, right? Which actually looks better to you. The second one, right? This actually looks better and easier for you to read and seems more connected, right? And this has that gap, but this is what came default, and you didn't do anything. You actually trusted the typeface and you did something, but this actually looks much better than that. This looks like a default job, but this looks more designed, right? So this is where you have to understand what actually works, right? So that is the reason we are talking about all these tools, right? Bringing up your research and all those things, right? And this might help you in working with typefaces, right? I hope you understood what we actually spoke about now.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right? All the things. So, right? These are the rules when it comes to typefaces, right? So I mentioned it very clearly here, right? So keep this book very handy and use it, okay? All right, thank you guys, and yeah,
Thank you,
bye-bye.
sir. Thank you,
Take care.
sir.
Thank you, sir.